Welcome back, everybody. Today we're going to take a deep dive into some stories from the Quran,
Okay.
the stories of Zackariah and Mary.
Sounds good.
Even if you're not familiar with the Quran, I think you'll find some really interesting insights in these stories about faith and what it means to be human.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think a lot of times people read these stories and they just focus on the spiritual significance,
Right.
but they really offer a glimpse into like the social and cultural context of the time as well. So,
Okay, let's jump in.
yeah.
So the first story focuses on Zackariah, and we find him praying to Allah,
Okay.
and he's really pouring his heart out.
Mm,
He wants an heir more than anything, but there are some hurdles.
yeah.
He's old and his wife is barren.
Yeah, he's facing some challenges for sure.
But, his prayer really struck me.
Right.
It's so raw and honest. It's full of longing.
It is, and it's a reminder that this desire for children, for lineage and legacy is something that people have felt across cultures and time periods, and it's fascinating that he doesn't hold back at all.
Totally.
He just lays it all out there.
Yeah.
He lays bare his fears and his yearning.
Yeah.
It makes you wonder, have you ever felt that way?
Oh, for sure.
Longing for something that seems impossible.
Absolutely. And you know what's amazing?
What's that?
Allah answers Zachariah's prayer,
Wow.
grants him a son, John.
Okay.
And get this, John is a name that had never been given before.
That's really significant, actually.
It is, right?
Because names in Islamic tradition, they often reflect the person's character or destiny.
Right.
So the fact that John's name was unique really points to how special his destiny is.
Wow, that's amazing. But hold on, there's a twist.
Okay.
Zachariah is given a sign.
Okay.
He loses his ability to speak
Whoa.
for 3 nights.
That's wild.
Talk about a confirmation.
Yeah, I mean, what an image, right?
Yeah.
And it's temporary, but it symbolizes his complete surrender to Allah's will.
Mm-hmm.
It's like he's saying, I trust you even if I don't understand.
That's powerful.
Yeah.
And then the Quran describes John's character.
Okay.
He's wise, compassionate, righteous, and dutiful to his parents.
He really embodies those ideals.
What a guy.
And, the Quran repeatedly says, peace be upon him
Really?
throughout his life, like at his birth, at his death, and even in the afterlife.
Yeah.
So that emphasizes his importance.
Wow. So speaking of powerful figures, Mary's story takes us on a totally different journey.
All right, let's hear about it.
So we find her withdrawing from the world, seeking solitude,
Okay.
and then, bam, she comes face to face with the angel Gabriel.
Whoa.
Can you imagine?
That would be pretty intense.
It's a dramatic encounter.
Yeah.
And remember, Gabriel appears in the form of a man,
Right.
which, adds to this intensity of the moment.
Yeah, for sure.
And then they start talking, and their conversation is mind-blowing.
Yeah.
Gabriel announces that Mary will give birth to a son,
Okay.
a righteous son.
Wow.
Now, Mary's reaction, who wouldn't be thrown by that?
Yeah.
She's never been with a man. So she's like, wait, what?
Her response is so human, so relatable.
Yeah,
It really highlights just how miraculous this is.
totally.
And then Gabriel goes on to emphasize that this birth is a decree from Allah,
Okay.
and it's destined to be a sign and a mercy for all mankind.
So it's not just about Mary's journey, it's about something much bigger.
Exactly. It's a message for the whole world.
Wow.
Yeah.
And despite her shock, Mary accepts this decree.
She does.
She conceives Jesus and then journeys to a far-off place all alone.
Wow.
And it's there that she experiences the pains of childbirth.
It's interesting.
What's that?
Both Zackariah and Mary experience a loss of speech.
Oh, that's true.
For Zackariah, it was a sign, but for Mary, she actually chooses silence.
Huh.
It seems like silence can play a powerful role in strengthening one's faith.
Right.
For Zackariah, it's surrender and acceptance.
Okay.
And for Mary, it's about focusing on her devotion and avoiding distractions.
Wow, that makes you think about all the times we might need to embrace silence, to listen more deeply, to connect more fully with something bigger than ourselves.
Exactly.
And I think about how both John and Jesus, their births are presented as signs
They are.
for all mankind,
Yeah,
pointing to the power and mercy of Allah.
that's right. It's like even when things seem impossible,
Yeah.
even when the odds are stacked against you, something extraordinary can happen.
And it's about having faith, right?
It is. It's about trusting in a plan that you might not fully understand.
Right.
And it makes you wonder, are we paying attention to the signs in our own lives?
Oh, I love that. It's so easy to get caught up in the day-to-day,
Yeah.
and miss those little miracles happening all around us.
Absolutely. Maybe there's more to everyday occurrences than meets the eye, like
Yeah.
a chance encounter or a moment of unexpected kindness or maybe like a sudden flash of insight could all be signs pointing us
Wow.
towards something greater.
So back to Mary's story, she gives birth to Jesus.
Okay.
And it's such a human moment. She cries out in pain, wishing she had died before this.
Oh, wow.
It's just this poignant reminder
Yeah.
that even amidst divine events, human emotions are still very real.
It is. It makes her experience all the more relatable.
Right.
Despite being chosen for this miraculous event, she experiences fear and despair.
Yeah.
But then Gabriel comforts her.
Okay.
He guides her to find sustenance from a date palm tree.
Wow.
It's such a vivid image, right?
Yeah.
This lone woman giving birth in a secluded place,
Right.
finding nourishment from this tree.
Yeah. It makes you think about, those moments when we feel alone and vulnerable and how help can come from such unexpected sources.
Exactly. It's a powerful reminder of Allah's mercy and provision,
Yeah.
even in the most challenging situations.
So eventually Mary returns to her people with baby Jesus.
Okay.
And you can just imagine their reaction.
Oh, I bet.
Shock, disbelief accusations.
Well, yeah, I mean, their accusations, they stem from,
Yeah.
their societal norms and understanding.
Right. It was a different time.
Yeah, the concept of a virgin birth was just utterly foreign to them.
So they're trying to make sense of something that just defies their worldview.
Exact.
And instead of defending herself, Mary just points to the baby Jesus.
Oh, wow.
And then he speaks from the cradle.
Okay, now that's incredible.
Can you imagine witnessing that?
That would be something else.
So what does baby Jesus say?
Oh, he declares his servitude to Allah,
Okay.
his prophetic role, and his mission to spread Allah's message. He also talks about his devotion to prayer and charity and his dutifulness to his mother.
So even as a baby, he's embodying those core values.
Absolutely. It's a powerful image of innocence and righteousness.
And like John, peace is invoked upon Jesus throughout his life.
Right.
It's interesting how both these stories start with these really personal, intimate moments.
Yeah.
Prayers whispered in solitude, anxiety felt in isolation, and then they expand outwards.
They do.
Revealing messages that resonate on a much larger scale.
That's a beautiful observation.
It's almost like a ripple effect, starting with individual experiences and then expanding outward to touch the lives of countless others. It makes you wonder, what ripples are we creating in the world? What impact are actions having on those around us?
That's a good question.
Yeah. I don't know the answer, but it's something to think about.
It is. Yeah, it really makes you think, doesn't it? And I think, these stories also highlight how faith isn't just about believing in something unseen.
Yeah.
It's about living those beliefs.
Yeah. Right.
Embodying them in our actions and how we interact with others.
So it's not enough to just say we believe.
Yeah.
We have to actually walk the walk. Be kind, be charitable, be respectful.
Exactly like John and Jesus.
Yeah.
Those are the values that really matter.
Those are the values that matter. And it's fascinating how both John and Jesus are referred to as prophets, delivering messages from Allah.
Right.
It really underscores this idea that divine guidance is a continuous thread throughout history.
It's a crucial point.
Yeah.
The Qur'an acknowledges a lineage of prophets.
Right.
And each one builds on the messages of those before them.
Right.
Guiding humanity toward a deeper understanding of Allah and the path to salvation.
It's humbling, right?
It is.
To think that we're part of this much bigger story.
Yeah.
This grand narrative of faith and revelation that spans centuries.
Yeah, it makes you wonder what our contribution to that story will be.
I know.
What legacy we'll leave behind.
And speaking of different perspectives,
Okay.
the Qur'an explicitly rejects the Christian belief in the divinity of Jesus.
Right. The Qur'an emphasizes that Jesus was a prophet and a messenger of Allah.
Yeah.
But not divine in nature.
It's a reminder of the importance of understanding diverse viewpoints,
It is.
and engaging in respectful dialogue.
Absolutely.
Even when there are disagreements.
It's about recognizing that different faith traditions can have different interpretations of the same stories or figures.
Yeah.
And I think we should approach those differences with curiosity and a willingness to learn.
Right.
Rather than judgment or hostility.
It's such a valuable reminder, especially today.
Yeah.
When it seems like divisions are widening and people are so quick to judge those who hold different beliefs.
These stories remind us that at the heart of it all is a shared desire for meaning and purpose and a connection to something greater than ourselves.
Beautifully put. That's a message we all need to hear.
I agree.
No matter what our background or beliefs are. So the Quran clarifies its stance on the nature of Jesus,
Yep.
stating that he is a slave of Allah and a prophet.
Yes, and it condemns the idea of associating partners with Allah,
Okay.
emphasizing that Allah's power is absolute
Okay.
and that creation is a simple matter for him.
So it's a powerful statement about the supremacy of Allah
It is.
and rejecting any belief system that attributes divine power to anything or anyone else.
Right, and Jesus' message as relayed in the Quran is clear.
Okay.
Worship Allah alone, for that is the straight path.
Okay, but we see that not everyone accepts this message,
Right.
which leads to differing opinions and a warning to those who disbelieve.
That brings up an interesting point.
Yeah.
What does following the straight path actually mean
Right.
for someone listening today?
It's a concept that might seem abstract,
Yeah,
but how can we apply it to our daily lives?
that's a great question.
Mm-hmm.
I think one takeaway is the importance of sincere prayer
Okay.
and unwavering trust in Allah,
Right.
even when you're faced with these seemingly impossible challenges.
Right.
You know, Zackariah's story teaches us that it's never too late to turn to Allah,
Yeah.
and that even our most heartfelt desires
Mm-hmm.
can be fulfilled in ways that we might not expect.
Yeah. And Mary's story, well, that shows us the strength that comes from accepting Allah's will,
It does.
even when it challenges our understanding
Yeah.
or leads us down a path that we never anticipated.
Precisely. Both stories emphasize the importance of submission to Allah's plan
Right.
and trusting that even in those difficult times, there's a greater purpose unfolding.
It takes a leap of faith, doesn't it?
It does.
Just surrender control and trust in something beyond ourselves.
But, you know, these stories suggest that there's incredible beauty and strength to be found in that surrender.
It's about letting go of our limited understanding
Yeah,
and embracing a wisdom that's far greater than our own.
right.
That's powerful thought, and it makes me think about those moments in my life when I felt lost or uncertain.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe those were opportunities
Yeah,
to surrender,
to let go.
to let go and to open myself up
Mm-hmm.
to a different way of seeing things.
Perhaps it's often in those moments of vulnerability
Right.
that we find the greatest strength.
Yeah, it's like we're constantly being invited to kind of step outside of our comfort zones, to embrace the unknown,
Right.
and to trust that even when we can't see the path clearly,
Yeah.
there's this guiding force leading us forward.
It's a beautiful way to think about it, and it reminds me of how both stories culminate in this call to follow the straight path,
Right.
which, you know, in the Quran, that refers to the path of worshiping Allah alone.
Okay.
It's fascinating how these, you know, miraculous events and signs are presented,
Right.
but ultimately the choice rests with each individual.
It's like a map is laid out, but we have the freedom to decide whether or not we want to follow it.
Exactly.
And the story highlights that, there will be those who choose a different path,
Right.
leading to division and a warning about the consequences of disbelief.
Yeah, it's a powerful reminder that our choices have consequences, not just for ourselves, but for, you know, those around us.
Absolutely. So we've covered so much ground today.
We have.
Miraculous births, the significance of prophets, unwavering devotion to Allah,
Yeah.
and this concept of a straight path.
It's incredible how these stories still hold so much relevance and power, you know?
They do, and it speaks to the enduring wisdom of the Quran
It does.
and its ability to connect with people across cultures and across time.
Across time periods,
Yeah.
absolutely.
So as we wrap up, I keep coming back to this idea of signs.
Okay.
Zackariah and Mary received signs, and the births of John and Jesus are presented as signs. It makes me wonder, are we overlooking signs in our own lives?
That's a good question.
What if everyday occurrences hold deeper meanings, just waiting to be discovered?
What a beautiful thought. Like a chance encounter.
Yeah.
An unexpected act of kindness.
Yeah.
A moment of profound insight.
Yeah.
Could these be signs guiding us toward, you know, a greater understanding of ourselves and our place in the world?
It's like a treasure hunt for the soul, searching for those hidden messages and those glimmers of the divine in the everyday.
So as you go about your day,
Yeah.
keep your eyes, heart, and mind open.
Okay.
You never know what signs might be revealed or what profound truths you might uncover.
That's the perfect note to end on. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the Qur'an stories of Zackariah and Mary.
It's been a pleasure.
Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep seeking those signs that spark your curiosity and lead you to a deeper understanding of the world and your place in it.